Hello everyone, today I wanted to do something a little different and continue a bit more on the programming. Today we're going to go over a few different things you can do blueprint-wise and coding-wise with lights. So the first simple one is a little alarm. So this is a little alarm we're going to go over real quick. So we simulate, we'll see it spins around and lights up the area. Normally when you do this you have a model or you're going to model something that has the two lights and they spin around. So how we're going to do that is I created a little cylinder and I placed two spotlights and connected them by just dragging them on top of the cylinder and letting go. And then I set them to a red light and left their intensity at 5,000. So how this code works is pretty simple. On event begin play, or whatever event you want to have do it, you can connect it to a set relative rotation that is connected to the cylinder. Because the two lights are connected to the cylinder, when it rotates, the lights will move around it in that perfect formula. You'll connect them to whatever model you're using for the light, and so on and so forth. You'll make the lights match the color of the emissive on that model. Then from there, you'll have a make rotator connected to a rotation speed, which is a variable that you create right here, and then go down and create a float. And then you can name it whatever, and then you'll compile, and that will allow you to click on it, go to details, and set a number. Mine is currently set to 75, and then I connected it to the Z, because the Z is, once again, this way. Alright, so with the Z-axis, it rotates at a 75 speed. And that is what makes it actually rotate, is a simple little code. So how you get all this to work is you have a rotation movement. So you just add rotation movement. And that will work with your little float, and that's what allows it to actually spin. So if you don't have that rotation movement, it will just tick to 75 and stay there. With it, it'll actually rotate. So yeah, that's how you get that simple code to work, and so we're going to head on to the next one. The next one is a basic flickering light. So if I drop my little light in here and hide some of these other lights, make it easier to see, and then I simulate, you'll see the light right here is flickering. So that's pretty simple. So if we go into the flicker, we just have the spotlight placed, and then we put it where we want it to be, wherever we need to be in the level. And then on event begin play, or whatever you want to trigger it, you connect it to a timeline inside the timeline. So to create a timeline, you right click and you type add timeline. Then you double click into it, and then you right click, add a key point, and then your first one is always set to time 0, and then you set it to what you want it to be. For the flickering light, I need it to be able to go off of a lower point in the regular light. So I'm not using 1, I'm using 0.75, and I want that for the first and the final key. You want those to always match the same number. And then you kind of vary along between there. Because I'm doing a flickering light, I want the intensity to rapidly shift between them, and it's set to last 5 seconds. So from there, it'll create a new track. So in the timeline, you need to hit track and then add float track, and that's how you do it. And that's how you get this little area right here. I have it set to 5 seconds. Right here, you could change it. And then right here is the looping, which allows it to play indefinitely. So from there, connect updating to set intensity, which is connected to your spotlight or whatever light you chose. And drag off the track, and you'll want to do another float, which will be your intensity. So from here, you'll set it to the 5,000 that the light is normally at, and then, or whatever you have your light set to, connect it to a multiply node, and then connect the timeline to the bottom part. Make sure to do that because you want the intensity that you have set to times by the timeline set, so it goes through and adjusts based off of that. So because it's multiplying, instead of just being at 1, which would be the 5,000, it's going to 0.75% and then up and down from there of what the intensity should be. And that's set to the set intensity. And that's how you get that flickering light to work. Pretty simple stuff. The next one will be the scanner. So our scanner right here is a bit more intricate. So for this, I need to hit play, step over here, activates, you see it's green. And then as I come over here, you'll see it slide across slowly, and then when it hits me, it turns red. So that one is kind of based off the idea of a little scanner system, kind of like how Resident Evil had for their little lasers that go across that room. So with this, I used a rect light, and then I connected a box collision to it, which is just simple add box collision. Then I matched it to it. You could go ahead and make this far more intricate by using a perception. That way people can crouch underneath stuff and avoid it. But I wanted to go simple for the video. So from here, you'll do a on component begin overlap, which is simply click the box, details, scroll down, and then on begin overlap. And then it'll pop up in here. So I connected the box to the Rex light, so when it moves with it. So here we go. We want to look at the regular one of it moving first, right here. So when you hit the trap, which is one right here, which for this, I have the trap set at the beginning. You can use a different one and cast to it if you want. I just used it because it's all going to be in this one room. And I set it to the entrance of the room over here. So that way, when you walk into this room and you step into it, it activates the light. So we have 2 box collisions. With this one, it sets the intensity for the rect light all the way down there, and then it goes into a timeline. This timeline's a bit more specific. So I moved in the blueprint, I clicked the light, and I found where I wanted it to be at the start. And what I did was I added that with a right click, added keyframe, and then I set it to 0, and I added the point of the transform right there. Because it's only moving along one, I only needed one of their locations, which was the X. And then I did the same thing, but I moved it to the end where I needed it to be. And then I recollected the data right here. And from there, I pasted it in at the end, at the last 10 seconds. So I'm going to shrink this to, let's say, 5, because 10 is a little long. Compile. So that's going to be a lot faster. So from here, with that float track and everything set up, I can connect it to a move to component that is connected to the rect light. So after I drag the rect light in, I can just drag off of it and type in move component to, and it'll set this up. There'll be a struck pin right here. You could right click and separate. And so I separated it, and on the X location, I connected it to the float over here, and that's how it gets from point A to point B. And then that second box collision, or where you would use your perception, is connected to the rect light. So as it moves, so does the perception. And as soon as it comes across it, it switches the light to red by set light color. And that's how that code works. So now we're going to look at how to take some of these and make them kind of work in unison. So I want to copy this location. So 89 to 90. And we're going to go to phase 2. Okay, so we're going to drag in scanner 1, which is the second variant of it. We're going to copy the location. Drop in scanner 1, paste the location. Oh, and 90 degrees. There we go. So there we go. So now scanner 1 is in. We're going to take this alarm right here. We're going to rotate it 90 degrees. So we advanced both of these to work together. So for this to work, we're going to need to create a new variable. We're going to need to create alarm 1. So right here, we drop down the variable type alarm. And then this one needs to connect to alarm 1 instead of just alarm. And then we can name it what we want. Set off. We're going to name it set off. We're going to compile. And from there, we're going to set this little eye open so that allows it to be instance editable. So everything outside of it can also edit it as long as we tell it to. So drag off of here and set alarm. And that is going to call our function on the other one. Another function. It's going to call our custom event on the other one. Compile. So there we go. Oh, right. So once we set that up, the way that that function and that variable works is we have to collect our alarm right here, our scanner right here, and then it will create a little eye drop thing we can get down here for set off. Click it, then we can click the other alarm. Because that is part of what we are object referencing inside of our variable, we can eye drop and collect one on the map that we have placed. And that will allow it to use any function or code from that variable. Hit here, trigger the code, we run over here, and as soon as it alarms, we'll see that the other one slides out and then it activates. So we just triggered the alarm system in this entire area. We could take it a step further and we could actually take this, and we actually duplicate this across multiple times. And okay, so we need to set the variable multiple times. So we can duplicate and then duplicate. We need to drag off these and set them in as well. I shouldn't have used just one. Compile. That's what our issue was. So we hit play. We set off the code. We run over here and it triggers. Now all three of them slide out, and now we have an alarm system that has just been raised. There we go. So yeah, it's as simple as that. And how that works is we go into the scanner and we look at it this way. So we have a on begin overlap for the box, the trap, once again. We set the color, but from there we drag off. We have our little variable down here that we set, which is the plus. And then we click here, we name our variable, our other blueprint, which is alarm1 for this. Then we do object type, object reference. So with that set, we can compile, and then from the blueprints, we can click the eyedrop. And that'll allow us to grab off and get our custom event. So everything else is the exact same, but now it triggers a custom event on the other blueprint, which is alarm1. In alarm1 is very different. So we have a custom event, which we named alarm. So from there, we drag off and create a new timeline, which has the location on the z-axis for world location, not world, relative location on the z-axis. We have the -32, and then we have the +14. So what that does is when it connects to the move to component on the cylinder, it connects to the z relative location, and that moves it from inside the wall to the outside of the wall. And then we have a delay that is the exact length of how long it takes for it to slide outside of that wall. And then it activates and sets the relative rotation, so the lights turn on at that exact time and starts rotating. And how this is set up is I've taken the light duration, and the light, I created another little timeline, and I made it kind of vary in how bright it is at times. And so it's pretty simple, and then it sets the intensity to both spotlights at the same time. So it's simple, it works really well, and if you want to upgrade it, you can go through and make it as advanced as you want. But these are just some simple ideas to help you get a couple of things going for your game, and some ways to use blueprints and lights for a bit more atmosphere and world building going on. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed this video. I know it was a little different. A lot of this is actually rather simple once you get used to working with the coding. But yeah, I hope it really gives you some ideas. I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you did, please hit like, subscribe if you want to be able to learn more videos. I learn off of more videos in Unreal that I've done. And yeah, I hope you all have a good night.